that's been going.
Fantastic song choice. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. Mm. Steve,
Yeah.
what it do?
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well out there tonight. This is State of the Nerd Union. You're joined by Commander Shipp and my good friend Steve Fox. And so Jerry's off for the night, and so you get me and more. Be a little more active tonight.
No more Shadow Kenny.
Shadow Kenneth.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's immediately what I was thinking about. Or either like Nega Scott Pilgrim.
There you go.
That's the other option. All right. So yeah, tonight. Oh, I guess it's also good timing because the Snyder Cut. So yeah,
Yes,
Steve
it
got
is.
to watch it. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We will put the spoiler thing up. I guess we can talk a little bit non-spoiler, and then I'll put the spoiler text up if we want to talk.
We gonna talk.
Because there's new nightmare sequences and all sorts of news. Yeah, it's a different movie. It's a completely different movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
People seem to have their favorite theme of rich people having nightmares of the end of the world. I wonder where I've seen that before.
What? No, that's Tony Stark did that. What are you talking about?
I like how both of their nightmare fantasies is basically the end of capitalism, and they're like, no, my money,
I can't let that happen.
but also everybody else, and all of civilization and human life, but also my money.
Who will pour my tea? Alfred already doesn't do that anymore. He's like, you're a grown man, you can serve your own tea. I'll get to that in a second. I thought there was a weird scene. All right, so we have news. It was Terrence said, not the end of not the end of capitalism. No.
Oh no!
We are a news show, so we're gonna cover the news. And so Batwoman had been recast with a new black lead actress. And so my eyebrow initially raised seeing that they had recast the Kate Kane character as opposed to the rebooted character they had. But mostly this is to explain the disappearance. And I'll read some from the article from CW. Decision was initially made not to recast the character, but showrunner Carolyn Dries had been telegraphing her return and very much had no intention of the story simply disappearing. Furthermore, she wanted her to return to avoid the bury the gays TV trope, which ends up just killing off any gay lesbian character, and then nothing else. Like no more representations. Like, yeah, you got them for a couple episodes and then they're done. So so this is not going to affect the lead actress's role at all, Giselle's role, and she's more just coming in to finish that storyline. Cool. And yeah, I probably should have put spoilers up there for folks that are watching Batwoman. I apologize, because if you have not watched the episode from last week, you might have been. It was fairly open though. It's fairly open. Steve, how do you feel about Super Nintendo World?
I'm hype. It's like yet another thing to add to my list of why I, as a weeb, want to go to Japan. A lot of those reasons I've slowly replaced my reasons with a lot of anime reasons with a lot of karate reasons. Also Gundams and also ramen. However, I am super hype about Super Nintendo World in Japan. the way things are probably going, I'll probably end up being able to get to the US one first. But I am really excited about it. Just like I'm just glad that it exists.
Yeah. So I like some of the things that we've confirmed can happen. And for those that are already there and live in the country and want to go visit it, they are following some strict COVID protocols. But you can naturally compete in a Mario Kart race, which I was, if you couldn't, I'd actually be like, what? Y'all missed it.
What?
You can ride a Yoshi. It says it's a ride using AR headsets, but you can experience a 5-minute race riding on AR headsets are with the Mario Kart race. Let me get that back.
Yeah, that's the Mario Kart one. The Yoshi is they actually genetically modified animal DNA to create real Yoshis.
I wouldn't put it past Nintendo.
And you can ride one.
I would not put it past it.
You just got to sign a lot of waivers.
There's been an incident at the park.
The Yoshis are gotten free. Oh no!
Got to tame them like Chris Pratt in Jurassic World. So you can also purchase power-up bands, which will tally your scores, coins, and digital stamps throughout the game, throughout the park. It also sync to your smartphone device, so you can take that progress with you when you leave. I can see this being problematic for folks that are achievement hunters, and then
that is exactly what I was like. That's a genius move, because like the part of my brain as a gamer who's like, I need to prove to these people that I'm better than them at video games, and like that, I would absolutely buy a power-up band exactly for that.
You can punch giant blocks, which seems like, I was like, man, that seems silly. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, but now that I know that it's a thing I could do, I kind of want to, like, what does it do? It's like, apparently some of them might be like information, like your information centers in the park, or at the, like the note boxes to give you an idea of what's going on. Whether they dispel things to your smartphone device, I don't know. But again, it goes back to the achievement hunting. And then naturally a bunch of gaming-based snacks in the different cafes.
Nice. There's gonna be a lot of people like just triple jumping everywhere. Wah! Yeah! Yeah! Yippee! Spinning around like a helicopter. Yeah, Taryn said that they already do that in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think in reference to the armbands to track scores and such. Which is, again, a smart move. Yeah.
I'm still on this genetically modified Yoshi, though. We might
have
to
right?
back up and get Jeff Goldblum and be like, you didn't think about whether you should.
And the answer was yes.
All right. We have some Aquaman 2 news. Some castings that hint a little bit at where they may be going. So they're looking for a character. So these are code names, but people internet's already kind of sussed out what it probably means. So one cast name's Core, looking for a character having a British accent, being in the range of 40 to 50. And people already think this might be Fisher King, who's the leader of like a eco-terrorist group, sometimes associated with Blackjack or sometimes associated with Black Manta. So that might be one of the central themes, is that Aquaman will be fighting this group. Which Idris Elba. Yeah, I guess he would fit that bill. Yeah.
Hey.
That's not a bad
That's an idea, Taryn. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
So we're also looking, was it codename Marin, hence a mixed race female in her 30s to 40s, described as intelligent, formidable. Some folks have said she'd be playing Dolphin, so likely against the eco-terrorist group, probably partnering up with Aquaman.
Yep, and we got the third one, who's a character who's dubbed the name Ray. And at first you might be thinking, what? But it's just a code name. They're looking for a mixed race female in her mid-20s who is, quote, tough and authoritative. Kenny, who do you think it might be?
So some people have speculated Aquagirl. I don't know if they want to go that direction this early, but at least it'd give them.
Seems a bit early.
Yeah, it seems a bit early. Agree. And then they've got Tola or Lorena Marquez. I'm not as familiar with those two, and that's where my Aquaman knowledge kind of starts to fall off a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like everybody's Aquaman now starts to fall off a little bit.
Unless
you're like an actual Aquaman fan.
Yeah, because I'm pulling for notes, and I'm still like, you know, if you want me to like rattle off Batman side characters, I'm like, I got you. But so we shall see. What was it? Atlantean military officer. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe someone that's like showing him the ropes of the. Because I'm assuming as he's taking the throne, he's probably gonna have to have some kind of like T'Challa back in Wakanda kind of thing. Yeah. Kind of figure out like, how does this all work? Because I've been an Earth dweller for a long time. So yeah.
How do y'all do things here? How does talking work underwater exactly?
Apparently you make a bubble of air every single time, which I don't quite get.
Make an air bubble. I'd assume they would just do the regular Aquaman thing from like the old cartoon, but I guess like that probably is lame. We just like
it's like, do you talk to fish?
Yeah, really. Oh man. But speaking of other exciting news, Tenet's receiving an HBO Max release on May 1st. Y'all know I don't like watch a bunch of movies, but I actually watched Tenet. It was really good. So, you know, it being released on more services that people can watch it on, I think is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And HBO's base has grown pretty significantly. So I'm hoping a lot of people will be able to experience this. Like, I don't know if it's the perfect Nolan movie, but I do think it is the most Nolan-esque kind of movie. It's like, hey, do you want to pick a movie that you think represents Nolan? It's like, yeah, it's probably Tenet. Now, whether that's good or bad, we can have that debate. But I think I enjoyed it a lot, and it gave me a lot of things to think about even after I left it. I was like, how did the
It was really neat because it was like one of those things of where like I also recognized like it was like once I made certain connections in my brain, I'm like, then it was like so many other things in the story started to my brain automatically starts like forging connections in my head, and I'm like, exactly. This is the kind of movie that's gonna be a lot of fun to watch a second time.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if I think I watched it once or twice after it came out, so I'm probably good for another rewatch here soon.
Nice. Yeah. Well, you can watch it on HBO.
What? No, I own it.
Oh, sick. Just a fan out here buying films.
It's a crutch. I know. It's a.
Imagine owning things. Come on, Kitty.
We'll just ignore the background. Right. So. It's no longer rumor. It's confirmed that Kevin Feige will be directing or putting together his own Star Wars solo movie. But for those that were wondering, is he going to go take over the franchise and run it himself, just like he's done the MCU? Kevin Feige has quickly dispelled those rumors, being very quick to point out that it's Kathleen Kennedy's baby. And I also think the timing of him saying that after the whole Disney shareholders meeting from a week or two ago is probably really telling. So good on you, Kevin, for doing that and getting Kathleen's back. And so while I am excited to see what you end up coming up with, I think it's good to know that those like he might help assist, but he's not going to be taking over.
Yeah, he's coming in with the alley-oop.
Yeah, so I'm gonna lay it up for you. Come on, get it.
Yep. And some video game news. Fans of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne is getting a North American release on May 25th. It's a PS2 classic for the Shin Megami series. Oh man, I need to sneeze. I can finish this. But it got remastered and re-released in Japan last year, and it's going to be on PC, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. And as we can see, Kenny's excited.
This is one of my favorite in the series. I stupidly sold mine and have since repurchased it because that was dumb. That's a very dumb decision. But I'm glad that one, because Persona 4 got a re-release. I'm hoping that they're going to keep putting more of these out and start going back, because there's the Digital Devil Saga. There's 2 games on PS2. The Devil Summoner, there was just 2 games as well. And if you try to buy those right now, Devil Summoner by itself would be about $300 just to get both. Like it's ridiculous how high they've gotten. And also in the aftermarket for games, as I don't hate Smash players. I just don't take this the wrong way, Smash players. But when y'all get a new character released from a franchise that hasn't been in Smash yet, when I'm trying to buy a game, I see the price shoot up. So when Joker got announced for Smash, all of a sudden Persona 5 became expensive for a little bit. And I'm like, no, none of y'all was even playing Persona 5. Although I'm excited if you're actually getting into the franchise to check it out. Cool on you. But to the people that are just kind of spiking prices up, or I guess really who I'm talking to are the scalpers. If you're just scalping it because you're killing me, please stop. Just stop, please.
Scalpers are making your copies of those games go up. They trying to help you out.
But I think it's a bubble though. Like I don't. It just because it eventually drops back down.
That is exactly by definition precisely what that is.
Now GameCube games being high, it's like okay, but it's GameCube games. Nintendo games have always really held their value, so I'm not super surprised at that. But when something just shoots up like that. Come on. But. Speaking
of games holding their value, what we haven't gone on a random, unprovoked tangent about? Kirby's Air Ride. Where the hell's that on the Switch?
I mean, there's a lot of GameCube games that need to get a re-release.
There really are. And that game is fantastic.
Yeah.
But, we can go on unprovoked tangents literally.
What's it? Because I know we got Sunshine. But just real quick. Like, Pinkman 1 and 2, we got it on the Wii, but let's move that on over to the Switch. That's an easy one.
Fantastic game.
Super quick. I wouldn't mind seeing a Bait and Kato's.
That's a good one.
I know some people didn't like Origins, but Eternal Wing is still fantastic. Like, I don't just no debate on that one. So yeah, we'll talk about it another time. You're right. Let's not get stuck.
I really feel like people who own Pikmin 3 got shortchanged because I played through it and like even the Switch version that has extra content, like it just feels so short by comparison. And I don't know, like, am I just well trained? And like now after playing Pikmin 1 and 2, I'm just some fearless astronaut who doesn't value the lives of his Pikmin. Not true. Or is the game and I'm just charging into every situation? Not true. Or is the game really short? And I feel like it's the last one. But, yeah. But speaking of transitional segues, Bird Girl, a spin-off of the Harvey Birdman show back from Adult Swim from way back in the day, is getting a spin-off that's coming out on April 4th. If you remember, Bird Girl was the secretary at the law place where Harvey Birdman worked, and also the daughter of the head of the law office.
Phil, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen Harvey Birdman, and the last time I watched it was for what was that? The single episode of Harvey Birdman Attorney General at Law, or whatever it was called.
Attorney General at Law. I don't remember. What? I don't remember.
That was it. It was like a one episode thing that Adult Swim did. That was like, oh, Harvey Birdman's coming back, and they only had one episode, and it was like, we got you, leave us alone. We're not making any more of this. But like they're making more of it
until they did. So the trailer, I don't have it queued up, but go watch it. It's hilarious because if you remember the first Harvey Birdman episode of his wings, or it may not have been an episode, it might have been a trailer where he's trying to walk through the door of his wings. They recreate that with Sue, and I'm like, that. I was like, thank you. That's a really good callback. That's fantastic. So I'm glad they finally got that thing I sent them. It's about time. I sent a fan email a long time ago. It's like, bring this back. And it seems like they got that thing that I sent them. I won't tell you what that thing was, but they got it. They got that thing that I sent you.
See, when you say you sent him a fan email, that reminds me of when people were trying to get Metalocalypse back on the air. They had a fax number that you could fax to send letters or messages about why they should put Metalocalypse back on the air. And there was a live stream of the faxes coming in, and just under the fax machine was a shredder that all the faxes fell into.
Oh gosh, I miss Adult Swim. I don't. Man, I had a good time growing up with Adult Swim. You remember, I guess real quick, we'll move on. You remember Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the movie coming out,
yes.
and they put it in the bottom corner of the screen. I think it was like reverse imaged bottom of the screen, and like the audio was technically playing, but you're just like, wait, what? And you're playing this with other what? Like what? It was the biggest troll I've ever seen, and like it was the whole movie. I'm not talking about a clip on loop, folks. It was like,
oh, that's hilarious.
It's like if someone took Justice League, the Snyder Cut, and put it on CBS and had it playing in the bottom corner while other things are going on. You'd be like, wait, what?
Oh, man.
All right. Last one before we get to some more. We're going to get to our good gaming.
Game.
Yeah, good gaming section. Natasha Lyonne of Russian Doll fame. So if you've seen it on Netflix, definitely recommend you go check that out. And we're hyping her for a show we have almost zero details about. We don't know. We haven't been given a premise at all. But if you like Rian Johnson, most recently Last Jedi and Knives Out. Knives Out I thought was really good. Peacock's been fighting multiple streaming services were fighting over this 10-episode show called Poker Face, directed and written by Rian Johnson and then starring Natasha Lyonne. So it's landed at Peacock and probably be out sometime by the end of this year or probably the start of 2023. 2022. So no idea on the premise, but if you like Rian Johnson's writing, especially, again, not knowing anything about it, I don't know what it's going to be leaned towards, but they said in kind of investigative style was one thing we got out of it. So that could lean towards it could lean towards a little more Knives Out nuance and like really good interactions and mysteries and setups and things like that.
Sounds like some good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good.
Well, let's talk about gaming.
Video games.
Video games.
I like video games.
You like video games?
Kenny, I know that video games aren't really your thing, but you
really
should
my
play
game.
some video games sometime.
Should play some video games. Like the controllers I got up there on the front up there.
No, not like those. Like real video games.
Real video games. Oh, you're saying VR is not real video games? How dare you? So, on the PlayStation blog, toward the end of last week, the PlayStation VR controller was revealed. Now, if you've been in the PlayStation VR community, you're freaking out because all we've had so far is a vague promise that, yes, we are going to do VR on PS5, but we didn't really know for sure if that was going to happen. Now, we did get an adapter for your existing PlayStation VR to work on a PS5. Which had a little bit of hiccups, but they've since patched, and it's really nice. Ergo, Star Wars Squadrons on PS5 is much better. I mean, it was already really good, but like, golly. Anyway, but seeing the controller confirms that we are going to get a new headset. And things that the controller already tells us about the headset is that it will have camera tracking similar to like Oculus Quest and Quest 2, and or even if you've used like the Rift S, which again had more inside out tracking instead of outside sensors. But the coolest thing, again, the controller kind of feels similar to like a Quest controller and things like that. So that's cool. The haptic feedback, if you love the PS5 controller, which I do, and if you played the Astro's Playroom game on it and just kind of how it shows you all the things that could be used in the controller, having that haptic feedback and those sensors built into this VR controller is really tempting. So I'm just kind of curious, like, all right, you're already going to get immersed in the VR headset, and then the controller just adds even more to that, to a level we have not seen before.
Nice. It sounds so. Hearing information about the VR controllers and that type of stuff, it reminds. My only hope is that like it catches on as the innovative piece of technology that it is, because like one of my, I guess not like biggest upsets, but biggest disappointments was the lack of understanding of how to take advantage of motion controls.
Yeah.
Outside of Nintendo. Nintendo nailed it with the Wii. Like playing a first-person shooter and being able to shoot exactly where you want to at any given time, like, is a game changer. Like your accuracy and skill goes way up, and like I'm hoping that with like the VR controller and all the things that you can do with VR and having a incredibly precise like movement and aiming scheme where you can look exactly where you want to look as quickly as you want to. You can point exactly to where you want to point as quickly as you want to. That people understand what that means for games.
Yeah,
like
it's a big. I love PC gamers, but if you compare it to a VR track, like your mouse, like it would rival your mouse, or probably, or no, sorry, beat your mouse as long as it can keep
totes.
up. Yeah, and so
like,
oh, go ahead.
Oh well, a brief anecdote. I can't remember the name of the game, but like back when the Wii was popping and locking and doing its thing, there was like a really hard TM like Japanese shooter that had come out or whatever, and they were working on, and the creator of the game was like, oh yeah, you know, I like the people who play in the Wii, they're not like hardcore people. It's gonna be really easy because like his game like came out and they got a Wii port, and he's like, well, it'll be easy. And the problem that they had was they brought him in, and they're like, oh, so we have some problems with the game. It's like, oh, you need me to make it easier because you got all these casual people playing on the Wii. And he's like, actually, no, it's not hard enough. And the reason was because like when you have analog controllers, you have to move the aiming reticle over here and move the aiming reticle over here and do all that sorts of stuff. You know, when you have that limitation, like aiming accurately, quickly, and being where you're supposed to is part of the challenge. But when you have a movement scheme where you can very quickly aim at where you need to shoot whatever you have to, like then with that difficulty challenge being removed, it becomes like super trivial. So he was like shocked that he had to make new levels for the Wii version just because like the regular ones were just way too easy with that control scheme. And that's kind of my go-to.
If you remember what the game is, I would like to check it out.
Yeah, I found it in one of my like video game history YouTube videos. So I have to like comb through and I'll find it.
Yeah, because there's been studies on someone was using the Steam controller and the I guess not a study, but he was just tracking his own inputs and then inputs he'd seen from other users that had submitted for him playing on different control styles. And like the Wii remote, especially with the remote plus or like the enhanced sensor on the back of it was like always there, either above or right around the mouse clicks. And I was like, holy crap. Which also goes back to your point about like Nintendo would nail it. Nintendo would nail it all the time, but like third party
nobody else did.
Like, why was there never a good Call of Duty on the... Like, it just boggles my mind that we never got one that was like, this is the way to play it. And then
it's because they just focused on, oh, well, like, you just play... It was a very narrow-sighted perception of how you can utilize motion controls. And it was like, oh, like, you just use a regular controller. And when you want to do something cool, like, it's like, oh, like, if you're playing, like, Red Dead Redemption and you get in, and it's like, oh, you have a motion controller. Giddy up. And like that's like as far as their brains ever went. Like, oh yeah, like you can do things that you would do in real life, but like by shaking your controller, or things that you wouldn't do in real life by shaking your controller, which is, you know, drastically worse. But yeah,
you could already shake your controller. You could just have switched the sensors on the like if you're developing the next controller. You could have just fixed the sensors on the accelerometer for the shake and be like, okay, if it feels a shake, now that'll be. I mean, if you're gonna do. Because you're right, there's so many games that just did that on the Wii.
Sad reacts only.
Sad, so definitely, I will be following up on VR because I love that. So don't worry, we'll be having another VR conversation very soon.
Liddy Fitness said VR isn't real video games.
Get out, Shop.
Got him.
Got him. Goodness, I have another thought, but I'll leave it be.
Oh man.
What do we have next?
Where'd my notes go? Here we go. Oh yeah, PlayStation's giving out a whopping amount of games in March and April. Oh geez, I'm gonna butcher this one. Abzu?
Yeah, Abzu.
Haven't played that one. Enter the Gungeon. Have played that one. Fantastic game. Res Infinite. Haven't played that one. Subnautica. Actively hate that one. The Witness.
That bad,
haven't played that one. I just hate underwater as like a video game concept. It's the worst level in every video game. Nobody likes it. And like of Subnautica's like, what if we made a whole game that was just Minecraft
What about the
underwater?
submarine level from Star Fox 64? Unlimited torpedoes. Think
I mean,
about
if you had unlimited missiles on any level, it would be just as fun. Think about the underwater
That's a
level on Knights of the Old Republic.
I don't want to.
Worst part of the game. Every water temple in every
I know
Zelda
you. I
game.
knew you were. I knew you were going there. I knew
Yeah.
you were going there.
Low hanging fruit, my dude.
I retract my statement.
Exactly. But also added is they're giving away some PlayStation VR games as well as Astrobot Rescue Mission, which is apparently one of the highest rated VR games on any platform. Once I get a VR headset, that'll be something to play. What's it about?
You're just platforming. Effectively, just like you are with the Astrobot on the like the PS5 one that kind of gives you the intro to the controller. It's like that.
Okay.
But it's good. It's not something I thought I would enjoy a lot, and I'm like, because I mean, it's like, oh yeah, Astrobot, this Sony tool to sell things. Oh.
I mean, hey, well, if it teaches you how to use the tool and it's fun and it's good, then it's doing its job.
Mm-hmm.
But alongside that, for VR games, is Moss, Paper Beast, and Thumper, which will all be free on March 25th, which is what is it? This Thursday?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, 3 days.
I apologize. There's one I missed. I guess I didn't get it pulled over. Once a show. Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete collection. It will be coming. I think these will end April 16th. Horizon Zero Dawn will be April 16th until May. So that'll be, you kind of like, you're getting these first, and then Horizon Zero Dawn will be one of the, I'm assuming they'll add some more with that Horizon when it launches, or like when it becomes free. But that it's not in this collection yet. It will happen in April 16th, I believe. Big pool.
All right. Speaking of other things that Sony's doing that are maybe not so fun, depending on who you are and what consoles you own. Supposedly, Sony will be announcing that they're ending their online service support for the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita online stores. We don't super know what that means. Allegedly, they're going to make a official comment about it later this week, or maybe closer towards like the end of March, which I guess those are functionally the same thing. Supposedly the shutdown will be coming in July. So this sparked, major controversy with a lot of gamers who focus on, game preservation, in terms of historical preservation of games that only exist in an online context. How will you ever play them again? Which is a major point, for wanting to be able to play stuff. For the folks who were around and aware of, things back in the day, back when Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, came out the first time, there was a bunch of legal razzmatazz that caused the game after it had come out on 360, and I think maybe something else. I'm not sure if it was exclusive or not, but eventually it got taken off the marketplace. And if you paid for it and you didn't have it on your console, you couldn't download it anymore. It was gone. Mm-hmm. Which is why it was a really big deal for me and Jerry and Kenny when it came out for Switch, because now this game that has basically been lost to antiquity, unless you had it on your console like me, then now we can play it again.
Lost mine.
I was lucky because at some point I had invested in something like a 250 gigabyte or 500 gigabyte hard drive, and it was like I just never ran out of space ever again. But if you had the 20 gig that it came with, and you had to remove stuff and kind of prune your collection here and there, then there's a lot of online only games that are gone forever. So that's the argument that's made with Sony shutting down the services. We don't know what that's going to look like. Is it simply that those store, like the whole marketplace is just gone,
right?
You can't access it, or is it just that the games are still available, but but support for the game will vanish?
Yeah, I mean, if it just means they're not getting updates anymore, that'd be one thing. But I still feel like PSN updates, because I mean, anything that's connected to the internet, I still feel needs to be protected to a degree. But I feel like we're kind of gonna get to like a Windows XP Vista time frame where it's like slowly but surely support of those dropped off, and then it becomes a point of like, I mean, you can still use it, but you're rolling some dice after some time.
You're in Mad Max land.
Yeah. And to your point about Scott Pilgrim, so something people should remember is that during the PS3 era, to kind of avoid or kind of circumvent the cell chip issue, because developing on the PS3, well, it created some beautiful games. It really did. But developing on it was a nightmare. And one of the fixes was the downloads of certain games. So if you bought, for example, the God of War collection or one of our faves, Jak and Daxter, you could get some of the PSP versions as a download instead of it being on the disc from the PSN store. So if you bought it new, you get the code, and you'd be like, okay, wouldn't be a big problem, except I don't know if you checked, but you can't always get those collections on your PS4 or your PS5. Currently, especially if we talk about Jak and Daxter, I don't know if it's on the store for a purchase, so you might be able to buy it on the store completely. But if you just if you've already put your money into it and you don't want to buy it again, you don't have a lot of luck. And it's especially the downloads. There's no way really to transfer and we can get into a whole PSN problem with trying to switch accounts on your old PS3s because it's a bear and a nightmare. Metal Gear Solid, God of War. Let's see. There's an Infamous collection. There's a bunch of just HD remastered collections that had downloadable games, not just content, games that you're probably going to be just lost to time.
Yep.
Why don't companies care about preservation? I know you want us to buy the next console. I'm not against that. I'm down for it. I get it. I love your brand. I will purchase your next console. But for the love of God, can you also make sure
artificial scarcity? Nintendo did it with Mario Sunshine in Mario 64. And what was it? Mario Galaxy? That's why they came out 35th anniversary special Switch edition that you can't buy after March. Artificial scarcity.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, hate to see it, folks.
Hate to see it. Well, something we do like to see, though, is more Doom content.
Yes.
Steve, what's going on?
The new DLC for Doom Eternal, second part 2 of 2, just came out this past week, and it looks fresh. A friend of mine and I, who played the original Doom, or not the original Doom, but who played Doom Eternal at like the highest difficulty, were commiserating about just how bonkers difficult the first DLC was, and we're like, I am not bad at this game. I beat the whole game on the hardest difficulty, and it's just like the first DLC just added, just harder versions of the existing enemies, and a bunch of new lore stuff. And I'm like, I love the new Doom Eternal lore. Like, I think it's fantastic. But like, I want new enemies, and I was just kind of disappointed with the stuff that they added. I'm like, this is just harder regular video game, but with the new one. They added some new enemy types, which like the moment I saw that from the in the trailer, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. And also, just like the trailer is just like popping off. It looks really exciting. I don't want to say anything or ruin it if you haven't seen it yet, because I just want you to go and look at it and observe. But it looks extra fresh. I'm really excited to play it. I haven't sat down and played it yet. My friend has been yelling at me. He's like, "Oh man, it's so much fun!" But I just finished up my run of. I just beat Valheim, so I'm cleaning some stuff off my plate, and Doom Eternal's next.
All right. So I have not played the previous DLC for Doom Eternal, so I'll probably need to still get on that, and then
supposedly they also made it easier.
Okay, so it might be a good time to play it now. Or sorry,
now it's a good time to consume it. Yeah. So with the release of Part 2, I believe they've also made some difficulty adjustments to Part 1. because it was so bonkers like different. I was at the point where I'm like, yo, I am not bad at this game. Like, I know I'm not, but it's just like I am just constantly getting clapped, and I'm just like, why? What is happening? I played through like the first half of the game. I'm like, all right, cool. I need to I'm a little bit rusty. I need to get all the buttons under my fingers again, so to speak. Get all the twitch movements under my hands. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's pop this new DLC off, and I'm just like immediately just getting destroyed.
Take that, Doomslayer.
It's like I'm like on the ground, I'm like, why? And they're like, get down. Ridiculous.
This is not too easy for you.
Yeah, really. It's like, oh, was this too easy for you? Oh man. But speaking of games that are coming out with updates, we also have news from CD Projekt Red about Cyberpunk 2077 1.2 update. And after looking over it, I'm disappointed.
Not that good, huh?
I'm disappointed. Like it's definitely stuff to take the game in a better direction to improve the quality of the game.
Which we sorely need.
Which we need. I mean, there's bug fixes in there for sure. As far as content updates, we have essentially 4 things. So they changed the way that the police spawn. If you recall, when you were playing Cyberpunk 2077, anytime that you happen to accidentally shoot a pedestrian, the police just fucking materialize behind you, ready to descend upon you, and there's robots, there's drones, there's regular police officers, they're all there, just ready to clap you and destroy you immediately. They didn't drive there, they don't show up, they appear.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was not my experience, so that must have been I was getting away with Scott.
I'm playing on
PC. Okay, then that might be it. On my Series X, I hit 2 people. Actually, one person walked in front of me after I had stopped, and I was like, "Move!" And then they moved, and I drove, and they came back, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I ran them over, but still, nothing happened. I was basically getting away Scott clean in the city for But anyway, so yeah, I'm glad that they will actually come and apprehend me for doing
So that's
crimes.
the other thing. Police don't drive cars. Occasionally you'll see a police driver around, but if you run somebody over, at least in my experience on PC, I swore if you ran somebody over in a car, police showed up, they appeared where you were, and you're in a car, and they just have legs that aren't robot legs with a wheel attached to it, so you just drive away and leave.
So it was
okay.
So yeah, you Grand Theft Auto, your warning's still going to go up, but someone would need to be in the presence of you to trigger an actual sequence, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's supposed to be somebody who shows up in a cop car because they say hey, this dude ran over somebody. Me saying that sentence implies that they're in a car. So when you show up, you need to make sure that you're in a car too. And that was apparently an oversight in Cyberpunk 2077. But they changed the timing of the way that they spawn. So there's a little bit of a delay when police appear. They have a little video clip that shows you how the new feature works. And there's a little bit maybe a 10 to 13 second delay before a police officer, be it a drone, a robot, or a guy, will show up to contest you. So it's not you shoot somebody and then 6 police officers spawn behind you just out of nowhere. Yeah.
God, this game.
Some of the other stuff that they changed is smaller but helpful. Less slippery driving controls. They made things a lot tighter, which I believe.
No, not my. They better not mess up my Lincoln Continental. They better not do it.
Well. I believe if you recall, months ago, we were this game's driving system is way too slippery to demand the amount of precision that it requires from you to not run people or things over.
Yeah.
So they added less slippery driving controls. Better handling, so when your vehicles get like stuck on an object or whatever, you can teeter totter and wobble it off and get off and then keep going. And then I believe they added some dodge key rebinding, so you can change how the keys are binded, at least on PC. Because there was like a bunch of people who like you would hit the key to like walk to the left, and you'd press it like too fast or something, and you would end up dodging and then end up dying because of it or what some razzmatazz. So that's a thing that they changed too. And I'm like, could have adjusted the rate that you gain skill points or something. That would have been cool.
Can't
Crafting.
Do that.
Can I craft multiple things at once?
Not allowed.
Please.
Let's see. Lenny Pinner said, and Steve learned he was the side character, not the main. Regarding Doom. All right.
Oh yeah, pretty much. Jeez. Oh man.
I mean, yeah, I'll look forward to that. It's been on my list to get back into. I know I'm going to start streaming RPGs, but I don't know if. Yeah, I mean, I should just make a Cyberpunk night stream on that, and then just knock it out, just get it done with. Just because you've beaten it 3 times.
Yeah. No, I've beaten it once. But I'm like, as close to 100%ing the game as I can. Like, I've done every quest, I've done every mission in every zone in the city and all that stuff. I'm not going to get all the cars because you need too much damn money to buy every car. It's straight up. Like, it costs somewhere like around like $3.5 million to buy every car in the game, and I'm like, that's more than twice the amount of money that my characters earned in my length of playing the game. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm
are there even achievements for it?
Yeah, there's achievements. Oh
God. So okay.
I've hunted a couple of them, but I'm not doing that one. I respect myself too much. That's the reason why.
And before we get to Snyder Cut conversation, we got one last news topic. So you're saying there's a Valheim update coming up?
Oh yeah, yep. Update coming for Valheim soon. The developers did like a little blurb, I suppose you can say. Basically, they're just waiting for a update to Steam to come out. That they're waiting on for Valve to pump out. And my understanding is that they're more or less done with the update. They're playing it real close to the vest, so they don't want you to know what's in it. But soon enough it'll come. And they've been very communicative with the Valheim community. So I expect only cool stuff to be coming out. The game already feels like it's mostly done. It's not done, but it's definitely feels like it's close to being completed. So I'm expecting the final touches to be added in, and then just like a whole bunch of polish. So I'm excited.
Very cool to hear.
I've got it on things that you're excited about.
What I'm truly excited about. Well, real quick, before we start that, if you've not subscribed, folks, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us out there, either on your favorite platform. If you're watching this on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, that's why we broadcasting all 3 of those. Your convenience. We want to help you out. And with that, let's get started on the Snyder Cut.
Cut. So let's drop that spoiler warning now, just so we don't slip up and say something out of turn. Be warned. We might mess up, and we're going to talk about some spoilers.
I'll make a quick adjustment to the graphic. Maybe. Come here. Come hither.
Come forth.
All right. So, if you're watching this and you've not watched the original, some quick backstory, super quick. Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman doesn't go as well as they want to. Warner Brothers intervenes in the Justice League process a lot more. During the production of Justice League, he has the untimely death of his daughter, so steps away from the project. Joss Whedon comes in to complete the movie, although that requires him, not sure if it required, based on what we just saw. But he reshot a lot of scenes, for better or worse. That movie came out, wasn't that great. Fan campaign lobbied hard, along with Zack Snyder, to get his vision of the movie out. And a lot of us didn't think, and myself included, never thought it would happen, but it did. A lot of my particularly reviewers like myself thought it was going to be trash. I can't say that.
Also I to be honest, I watched it simply because I wanted to be a part of everybody else seeing. I told you this movie was going to be bad. Making a second one wasn't going to fix the original problems because it was garbage to begin with. I've been sharpening my pitchfork for like a whole day, ready to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna poke fun at this movie. I'm ready. I don't watch nothing when it comes out. I'm gonna be ready. But it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
so,
it's not. So I think some things we can say definitively though, and I think, and maybe you'll have a different thought on this, but I think this is fair. If you've not watched the DC movies, this ain't the one to start with, because I don't feel like. I know it's 4 hours. I know they talked about it, but they were potentially going to release it episodically, but it wasn't scripted or developed to do that way. So I think if you had done like we'll do an hour or we'll do a 45-minute thing, like if you try to cut that one like this, or so if you try to cut what we got like that, that's not, you'll definitely have an episode that you go, like what's going on? Because to me, it picks up by the last 2 hours, but it is built off of the character work done in the first 2 hours. So it's kind of one of those, you need them and they work together, but yeah.
But like, the part where the movie starts to get good takes the length of a movie. So, I mean, the way Kenny, you probably saw my post on Facebook. The way I phrased it was like something to the effect of, like the movie's not it's not the garbage that I assumed that it would be.
Yes. I even made a comment like that, and I have to take it back.
It's 4 hours long. If you want to watch the film and you want to watch a movie that's 1/6 of a day long, this is a good one to watch.
Yeah, definitely a good one to watch in that regard. So, having been a Snyder hater for a bit, I guess the other thing I would say, something else that I would add is that if you don't like Zack Snyder's style, don't watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair, and it's and that's if the negative comments I really have are, and something I said. Me and Tom shot our commentary as I watched it for the second time, Tom's first time. So things that stood out to me real quick were like, there's just shots that don't have to be that long, and I'm like, you could save a lot of time and just like let's go. Some of these shots just don't have to, and unfortunately, Flash.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
them. Flash suffers the worst, unfortunately, just because, and I don't mean story wise. I like they gave him a little more what to do. Although there's one thing I'll point out in a fight scene where I'm like, what did you? Okay, we'll get down in a second. But because his speed is already shown as slow-mo, instead of also giving us some good scenes where someone's just blazing around, that means they have his slow-mo, and then they have slowed his down with Snyder's eye already, and there's a scene where he saves Iris West, and I'm like, come on. Really? It's like, come on. This is silly.
I also, he does both. So my thing in cinema, specifically for superhero films, where like this hero has super speed. Like I want to see the Flash rolling around at the speed of sound. Like I don't want to see him like, oh, let's show everything he does in slow mo. But he does toggle back and forth. Where there's a scene where Wonder Woman is defending some folks earlier on in the film, and they show her like she's deflecting like gunfire, and they show her using her cuffs at super speed to deflect all the bullets. So you get an idea like, oh, like you don't need to show me this in slow motion for me to think that it's cool. Like, you can just show it at normal speed, and I understand that she is fast because it's happening faster than I can see it. Like, I've watched Dragon Ball Z. I'm used to seeing blurs of movement of limbs, and my brain's like, that person's really fast. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, having him on the battlefield and showing people just getting like, boop, 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 boop. You know, if you're like, wait, wait, all the other heroes are it's Flash. And maybe see a little blur of it, but it's like, oh, he's like, I'm gonna take these folks off the battlefield. And just like boom, 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 boom. You know, may not be able to get all of them just because it might get overwhelmed, but I felt like that would have been cool.
I agree. Like that was exactly what I wanted to see. Like the Flash is super fast. If people suddenly just get incapacitated and fall to the ground and they're like, like
what happened?
I can use my imagination to be like, which one of these people did this? Was it Batman? Was it Aquaman? Was it Wonder Woman? I don't think it was any of those people.
And Soups isn't here yet, so
I'm just tired. It was literally ever since, what was it, X-Men First Class, where
Days of Future Past. Yeah,
Days of Future Past, where Quicksilver has that scene in the kitchen where he does the whole slow motion thing, and ever since then, everybody and their grandma's like, "Yo, the best way to shoot super fast people is in slow motion."
Yeah, I don't know if I put it on my Twitter or one of our mutual friends, but I was talking about, I brought that up, and like the unfortunately the Wachowski sisters with the first Matrix is that, you know, you saw that copied so much of I need to slow down a shot, and I'm like, but they're also showing off great camera technique, like they used it to do other things. It wasn't just that they were slowing. Okay, but then you add that Days of Future Past, and it's like,
yep.
Y'all, and you see it happen in Sonic. Other shows have just it's just become like that's how we have to show speed.
It's a gimmick.
Yeah,
it's a gimmick.
And I'm like, that's not I just don't find that interesting all the time. A slow-mo occasionally for that speedster, cool, but now it's just, that's like, that's how we have to show speed. It's like, no, you have other ways. But
yeah, I get it when you do it for like the first time, like in Spider-Man 1 when he gets into the fight with the bully and like he sees the punch coming in slow motion, he's like, what? Like that had an effect.
Yes, yeah.
We're experiencing it the same way he is for the first time, and then when he does, you know, super fast responses to things, we don't question it anymore because we've already seen the one slow-mo scene.
Yeah, and surprisingly in this movie, Superman has one like that, and I think that still works when he dodges Steppenwolf's punch.
Yes,
I'm like,
that one did work.
I'm like, no, yeah, that's. He's like, shh. It's like, yeah, you're in trouble, bud. It's like, you can't land on me. It's like, yeah, you're in trouble. I was like, this is not gonna go good for. It's not gonna go.
Superman has a bit where like when he shows up to fight Steppenwolf's giving everybody a hard time the whole time. In you know, my comic book brain is like the Flash could absolutely beat Steppenwolf. He just runs really far away and does like an infinite mass punch, and that's GG. But like when Superman shows up and he, like, you know, to show the major power differential between him and Steppenwolf, like Steppenwolf like throws an attack at him and Superman is just like sidesteps and he's like not impressed and then just wails on him and destroys him like immediately. It's fantastic.
Some things that stood out immediately, because I know we're gonna get into more spoiler stuff, so the performances just felt a lot better. I don't know if they just like had these cuts on the floor and then like Whedon was like, nah, I'm gonna pick the worst ones. But there's some you know, because it was like surprising how much stuff was from Snyder, like some lines, but just certain scenes just felt better. And I'm like, okay, so that's got to be either reshot or it was there and someone decided I'm gonna pick the other version. Because you know there's certain jokes that were still Snyder jokes, but they weren't. I guess you can talk about like how something might be framed for a joke as opposed to just kind of letting it fly, let it happen. Like what was it when Aquaman was talking about, haven't you heard the strongest person is strongest alone? In the Whedon version, he specifically makes a comment about it. He's like, no, he's like, that's not how it goes. That's not how that quote, that's not even close to what the quote is. But then this one, Batman just lets it lie. So like, you can laugh at it if you want to, but it's also kind of just showing his arrogance in that moment. But Batman's moving on, trying to like still recruit. So I'm like, but that was it still seemed pretty much like the same shot and scene.
Yeah, I didn't watch the original because I knew it was trash.
Oh yeah,
but after watching the Snyder version, I went and I watched a like side by side comparison. They're like, oh, what are the scenes that were the same? What did they change? What were some of the contextual stuff that they changed? And he took out a lot of like the stupid humor, of like
falling on Diana. Flash falling on Diana in her chest.
Yeah.
It's like, why is this? Yeah, this is dumb.
Yeah, and it was, I can tell, like, on some level, I feel like that was an executive decision of like, oh, we want it to be funny, like the Marvel films. So you should make this one funny, despite the fact that none of these people really tell jokes except for the Flash. Like, yeah, and they took a lot of that stuff out. Like they went through
Flash's
I watched
intro of Batman like has just what is brunch? I'm like,
yeah, they left that one in.
Why is this? Oh, they did leave that one in.
Yeah, they left that one in.
I forgot.
But because it like helps with like his awkwardness or whatever. But like you really could have took out like there's a bunch of stuff you could take out. I didn't need like the scene of like the Icelandic women like singing about, you know,
that was weird.
I understood. I was like, okay, like I saw Superman 1 and I remember thinking like the scene where Superman and Lois are flying around. I'm like, wow, they're really dedicating a lot of time to this. So like that first scene of like the woman singing, I'm like, there's gonna be a lot of those moments where I'm like, wow, they're really dedicating a lot of time to this. And I'm like, you could chop that out. There's like a bunch of scenes where like Aquaman is like he's like walking down the pier and they're playing cool music and he jumps into the water. And I jokingly turn to my partner and I'm like, and that's when he makes dolphin noises and like flips through the air. He's like, or whatever. There's like a bunch of little slow motion.
I was upset that he littered, and we haven't talked about this. Protector to ocean my ass.
Right? Like they show him like saving like a fisherman or whatever, and like he's like, "Oh, tell him to respect the sea," and I'm like, "No, I want the Arthur who's like, stay the fuck out of the ocean," and he basically yeets him back onto the land. Like, I catch you catching fish again. Don't make me come back here.
Yeah. But the internet has succinctly called this out. Cyborg is I know you didn't watch the original, but we didn't have any of that. We didn't have any of that. I mean, it was like it was like a scene with his dad. He meets Diana, then he's just expected to go. And I have to say, like, really getting his origin in this movie, it's like he's the one that's got to be fleshed out the most because you just don't have a lot on him yet. I know at that point in the universe we wouldn't have had a lot on Aquaman and Flash, but at least we've gotten that with Aquaman now with his movie, and Flash at least had some characterization in the previous version. But Cyborg's
and supposedly he's got a movie coming out, a standalone Flash film, supposedly,
which is going to be the Flashpoint Paradox, which I don't know if they're going to be able to do a lot of solo building or like character building in that one without.
That's a real. I feel like they're really jumping to a lot of high value storylines. Maybe a little bit too fast. Yeah. Maybe do a plot line that involves Brainiac or something. I don't know. That sounds like a good idea.
You know, and I don't know what they were gonna do with the what's the bad guys group in DC?
Darkseid?
No. The
other Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. I had it right. My brain was like, that's not right. I was getting confused with Doom Patrol. That was it. Okay. They probably should have been the first for this movie, because teasing any of that, unless that was just a setup for other movies and not Justice League 2. But every time I watched that, even the new one, I was like, who you just fought Steppenwolf, and Darkseid's gonna be knocking on the door any moment. Who cares about the Legion? It's like, I don't care. Right? I mean, I would have wanted to see them, but you started with Steppenwolf. Sorry, it's kind of. So you Brainiac would be a good one,
right?
But sorry, Doom Patrol. I don't care. I don't care unless you're saying not Doom Patrol, Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom.
Unless Luthor's gonna strike a deal with Darkseid that we don't know about, and that could be interesting. We have seen him do things like that in the past, or like play both sides to like just save the Earth's skin, which you've also seen that as well. It's kind of a weird. He hates Superman, but he's not stupid. He doesn't want the Earth to get exploded. Like,
for real, man. He's benefited greatly from capitalism. Come on. but yeah, like it's a problem that I see now that I'm thinking about it in like a lot of the maybe not a lot, but some of the DC IPs. Like me and my partner recently got caught up on Titans TV show, and spoiler warning for Titans. If you don't want to know about what happens at the end of season 1 of Titans, you should go stop listening for the next 40 seconds. Starting now. But season 1 of Titans, the main antagonist is Trigon. And I'm like, how you going to start the series with Trigon? Yeah. And season 2 is Slade?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Slade is a season adversary that the Titans constantly wrestle with, and they just never get the one up on him. And like Trigon is like, that's end game content. Like
Yeah.
what in Teen Titans Go, they didn't fight Trigon until like what, season 5?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good example. If y'all are like maybe like a Legend of Korra season 2 when you fighting literal spirits. Steve. I was like,
Oh, I'm back.
I was like, just apparated away. I was like, okay, I see how it is.
Shigakuzu.
Instant no, but it's like once you're fighting spirits and literal Vashtu and the creators of the powers, you kind of don't have anywhere and I still love some of the stuff that came after. It's like, but you don't have anywhere else to go. Writers take lessons from these shows. I'm trying to think of another movie example. It's not coming to mind immediately. It's like, but you can't overshoot the first movie. Like you gotta, and again,
It's power creep.
Yeah, power creep.
Power creep. And we've grown up watching and consuming way too much anime for us to be tripped up yet again by power creep.
Yeah. So I think the only people that suffer in this movie, and I use suffer lightly, but I don't see a ton of change is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Because Wonder Woman's just, it's like, I'm gonna be the tank for a little bit until Superman gets there. It's not saying she's not a tank, but she's primarily the heavy lifter as far as any attacks until Superman comes back. And kind of, unfortunately, is on Exposition Island, kind of just been like, I know why this thing happened and this thing happened. Let me give you, that's another scene that's like,
yeah,
that was
she's there to explain the lore.
I was like, I don't know if her explaining it, yes, she would be the one most knowledgeable. I don't know if you need a whole scene shooting an arrow into a temple to do that, and then have her go down to a cave to go find it. Like, I don't know, a phone call. I get it's obscure. Like, I don't know, something to shorten that up. You didn't need to have that. Soups, compared to obviously I say he is improved because he's not having CGI mustache removal. So you were spared that.
People always fret about that. Every time I see a picture of it, I'm like, he looks fine. He looks fine. I think people just fret about it. I think people fret about it because they know it's CGI, and so their brain does like some extra razzmatazz. I'm not confident that people will
watch the video, or watch a video of it, and it just feels odd. Now, when he's fighting, it's not a problem because you can't focus on it. But I don't know. I don't know.
But you wouldn't focus on it if you didn't know his mustache wasn't there.
Okay, that might be proving your point. And Batman, I feel like one thing that's lost is he was a little more mentoring to Barry in the other movie. Now Batman is weird in the other movie as well, but he was a little more mentoring towards Barry in the other movie, and I feel like they kind of lose that a bit. And where I think
that's for the best though. Like in the other one, Barry's just like, yo, I know that you can hit people really, really hard because you can move really, really fast, and that would be real useful. But like, can you just save everybody instead? It would be cool if you just saved everybody instead, and I would like to not help.
So one thing I was going to say about the Flash, the scene in the tunnel, or when they're underneath the island or underneath the bay, Flash was so wasted there, because now again, him fighting later is a lot better. In this one though, and then now if you maybe make the argument, it's like, oh, you're trying to show the team's not together. I was like, okay, but he's literally just running around as they're like trying to get the people out of there that they saved. And he's not picking anyone up to maybe speed this along. He's actually chastising him. I was like, hey, could you move faster? And I'm like,
I mean, but I feel like that's a little bit in line with like some interpretations of the Flash. And he's like, well, my, like in the Justice League, he's like, why y'all do everything so slow? Come on.
Right, but he would pick them up. He would be like, let's go. I guess I'm not criticizing the joke. I'm saying, but now it's reinforced with, you were actually doing nothing to contribute until they got outside and he saved them from the rubble. And it's like, but hey, if you'd already helped them get up there and get gone, maybe that wouldn't even happened. And then they spend this whole slow-mo scene to push a sword. And I'm just kind of like, boop. So write him a little bit better to do. He does have the moment where he pushes the guy to start when Cyborg jumps in the fight. That is good, but then they don't know what to do with him from there. So at the end, when he's running around trying to build up speed, it's cool, it's great, and
that was probably one of my favorite parts of the film. I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. Despite the fact we're doing spoiler doiler time, I won't spoil that part because it's fresh.
I will say it's a little confusing until it's done to me, because I was like, what happened? And like, that's another thing. I'm like, if you don't know the Flash, that's going to be confusing. It's going to take a second before you realize what has happened. Because I was like, oh, so I guess okay. Not, yeah, you're right. Don't want to spoil it, but I was just like,
yeah.
It took me a second. Like, huh?
I'll say to you, and I know that you'll know what I mean. Based off of what happened earlier in the film, where they showed how they wanted that concept to work for cinema.
When the box almost hits the water and then comes back up.
Yeah.
And that's what I figured out on the second rewatch. There's like, oh, there was the cue.
I was like, I see how they're doing that. Yeah, because sometimes they do it a little bit differently, where it's a whole thing. I'll talk to you about it after, because there's no way for me to express this idea without ruining the whole thing.
So we'll save that for folks. And we'll talk. Sounds good.
that part I don't want to ruin, just because it was really cool to see visually. The effect that they do is really neat. And that was probably one of my more favorite parts of the,
and a good
the
change
film aesthetically. Yeah,
a good change. Cyborg's way that he's more influential towards and we already knew he was influential as far as like fixing or like taking down the mother boxes in the movie, but he's like it's on him. He's like and it's like he's getting support from the team, but ultimately it's going to be him having to like pretty much run that banner, run that flag, the relay in that moment, and it's really good. So the final fight doesn't. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I don't think there's very many iterations where the Justice League battles Darkseid where Cyborg is not a crucial component, because somebody needs to interface with the mother boxes.
Yeah, so he's got to be there. It's got to.
Mm-hmm. Got to be.
So I hate the nightmare sequences. I really do, just because I know that we didn't get, like, we're probably not going to get Snyder's Justice League 2. I get that. But
not with that attitude.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that one too. We're going to have to talk about
Justice League 2. It's 8 hours long. Let's go.
No. But the whole Lois is the key thing, when the Flash tells him that, and then you get to this, like, I guess what I don't understand is, what is the nightmare scenario? They keep saying it's about Lois, but
theory time?
Sure.
So me and my partner talked about this, and I think I guess I've consumed more media, so I guess I was talking at my partner about this. But I think that they're leaving it somewhat open, because there's like hints of a couple of other timelines that we know from other DC properties and IPs and other stuff like that. At first glance, when they're talking about like Lois is the key, I'm like, you could have never let her die or whatever. I'm like, oh snap, we doing Injustice,
right?
We doing Injustice. I was hyped, but I'm like, no wait, the Joker's right there. We ain't doing Injustice. All right, what we doing then? And I'm like, well, I mean, Darkseid's here, so I'm like, maybe this is Injustice, but with Darkseid instead. But I'm like, but then why is Superman so mad? And I'm like, maybe we're doing multiple timelines, and that's not Superman, and it's Ultraman. And I'm like, it's left to be very ambiguous, because I feel like they haven't decided. And this was actually my partner's idea, after I was like, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. She's like, maybe they're leaving it open because they don't know what they want to do yet. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, but the other thing is, like, we're getting these details from where? like, I know Bruce is having the nightmares, but what, like, how much of it is real or cognitive or like precognitive of what's going to happen or could happen?
Oh no, he's crazy. We all know that Batman's crazy. This is just regular stuff, and this is.
But then the future
the
Flash
movie's not even real. He's been in Arkham the whole time.
Oh god.
He becomes the Joker, and the Joker is actually Bruce Wayne. That's exactly where this is going.
Wow. Because the only thing we know for certain is the Flash. When the Flash sees him, that's real. The nightmares may not be real, but the Flash showing up there and telling him about Lois is real. So that wasn't made up. It's just he might have got to the wrong time spot, as he says in that. He's like, am I too soon? I'm too soon.
Yeah. And I think that whatever happens in the next Justice League film is going to be probably a direct result of what happens with Flashpoint. Because nothing positive should happen as a result of Flashpoint.
Yeah. We saw what happened in the
there.
animated.
So what in the sense of, so for the people who aren't familiar at all with Flashpoint, like what the hell is this? They cover it a little bit in the Flash TV show. That interpretation is kind of whatever. If you really want to know about it, check out I think the DC animated film. I think it's just called Flashpoint.
Flashpoint Paradox is really, yeah.
Flashpoint Paradox. Fantastic film. The basic premise is Flash goes back in time to make one tiny itty bitty change to his life for the betterment of him. And it sends massive ripples throughout time and space, which have consequences that, like, he can't even begin to comprehend. Like, it's not time travel or manipulation in the sense of like of Back to the Future, where like, oh, you know, because Marty's dad went out with his mom or whatever, he's way more confident as a person, and like the only thing that's changed is stuff relative to their life. Flashpoint is a like planet/galaxy wide shift, in the sense of like, you cannot throw a stone into a pond without creating ripples. So too, you cannot manipulate time without creating ripples. Yeah. So,
and that's really where the concept's going. But I love that. Oh well, one, I think DC Animated's got to be a little more firmer in what's connected and what's not. But you've kind of figured out, like, between Justice League War, the Paradox, to Justice League Dark, and finally Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, when it all comes to a head, and I'm like, you did what?
Nani?
So definitely watch Flashpoint Paradox, but I hope and make sure you stay for the end credits of that, because it's really good as well. But that's teasing the other things that are going to go on. Oh, almost forgot. Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman is also connected in a whole. So yes, if you're not on DC animated movies, you need to get on that yesterday, and then you can enjoy the after effects of Paradox. It's really good.
And although it's not related, read Injustice. It's so good. Or if you don't want to read it, just watch the cutscene movie from the Injustice Gods Among Us video games. It's probably like 2 hours of your time, and it's just so good. That's not, it doesn't, those cutscenes don't do it justice. They don't do it justice. But
it's
they are
injustice is what it is.
You got them.
You set me up for it.
I did. But it is really good, and I'd recommend checking them out. But yeah, I think that's probably all my thoughts, like all my major thoughts about the films. There's some tiny nitpicky stuff of like, why was this in the movie? And take this out the movie. But other than that, you know, I think after seeing a 4-hour version, I would really like to see just like a 2-hour version, but like the good one.
Well, and you know, so Batman v Superman has a 3-hour version, because the theatrical. If you've watched the theatrical, I feel bad for you. If you've never watched the director's cut, you should do that, because the theatrical doesn't make sense.
Is it really that much better? Like, it's only a half hour longer.
But I still think Lois's Africa plot doesn't make a ton of sense, but at least it's resolved, so the people are in better places. And also, they actually give Superman something to do when he's investigating Batman. so you can kind of see more of where Luthor was pushing him. Because I feel like that movie, theatrical version, does a really good job of showing you what Batman, even if you don't agree with it, it shows you where Batman's head is at. It's like, okay, yeah, he's being manipulated by Luthor, but you see all that. Superman, to me, when you watch that movie, I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. Why are you doing? Oh, but when you watch the director, he's like, oh, okay, here's what Luthor was doing for him, and here's why he's pushed to this. So you get both pieces. Of like, oh, why are they fighting? It's like you get that much clearer. And then there's a whole Africa plot. It's just kind of like, what? They just forget about it. They just forget about it in theatrical. And then at least directors is like, we're gonna at least lay this up and make sure that this lands. So Justice League, if it wasn't for everything that happened, I'd have to imagine that he could have, if he had control, that the original version would have been better. It may have still been 2 hours, 20 minutes ish. And then if they did the same thing they did for BVS, where he gets to have his director's cut, then you get that 3 hour version of that, which is hopefully not this long, but like a 3 hour version that I think would satisfy everyone, still hit your big points and have better character development. But then you at least have your pick of your enjoyment. It's like, oh, I can do a 2 hour one. Cool. But then 3 hours is more the indulgent one. 4 hours is like, man, you talking about half? That's a quarter
a sixth of a day.
Oh man,
that's almost a full night's sleep.
I mean,
well, not really. It's half a full night's sleep.
This is like, you have to plan for. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna throw on a movie. Yeah, sometimes you can do it like, oh, I got you. have to be like, man, okay, let me make sure my Friday night is clear. And tell Jalen I'm not gonna play Halo with him tonight. And then do I have to get up in the morning? Okay, it's in that ballpark. When you get in that ballpark, you done something wrong. You bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
So I will.
But that said, it was alright.
It was alright.
It wasn't bad.
Me and Tom will talk about it tomorrow. I will tell you my score there. Tom vehemently disagrees with me, but I liked it more than I thought. It could be some shock from that. It could be in shock. I could just be in shock, being like,
we're in denial.
But
I will say, as someone who didn't watch the original film, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean,
as a standalone film.
That's where I'm hovering, and trying to like not take in so much of the problems I've had with other. Like if I'm just gonna judge this by its merits. But like I said, I think this is true. I think it's fair to say, like, if you don't like Snyder stuff, which I've usually not been a fan of, this isn't going to win you over. And then we talked about the length. There's just some things that could have been done to make this more manageable. So, Lindy Fitness says, Tom disagreeing? No. Well, that is our Justice League thoughts, folks. We'll have a little bit more coverage on Wednesday on my show with me and Tom, the Commander Ship Show. So that starts the same time this show does, but it's on Wednesdays. So I definitely think y'all will enjoy that. What is happening on Nerd Union this week?
We got the Falcon and Winter Soldier discussion group on Tuesdays. It starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. I always gotta make that adjustment because whenever we say stuff for time, I'm like, what you talking about? I'm EST, they CST. It's a whole different thing.
So make sure you watch the show before you come on Tuesday. That's a discussion group. It's not a watch group, as opposed to the next thing.
Yep. The next thing, Patreon exclusive movie watch group for Shin Godzilla, which is Friday, 8 p.m. CST.
There you go.
And then for the non-Patreon stuff, we have a movie watch for Interstellar at Saturday at 8 p.m. CST yet again.
Yeah. So definitely encourage y'all to come out to both those, but the Friday one will be Patreon only. So that's kind of that's one of our rewards for our Patreon supporters. Definitely a thank you for that. And since Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out the week after, I felt like it'd be a good, like, hey, let me talk to you about one of my favorite Japanese Godzilla movies, in a recent one. Because when I try to tell folks to watch the black and white ones, I understand you're kind of like, It's like, I get it. I totally understand it. But this one's was like a couple years ago, and it's really good. It's really solid. Cool. We talked about Commander Ship Show. What else is happening?
Oh, we got Red Shirt Rejects, hosted by Kyle Nelson and Trevor Law. This week's topic, they'll be talking about additional thoughts and follow up on the Wrath of Khan, and their review for Search of Spock. So that'll be coming up on Red Shirt Rejects this week.
Yeah, Kyle was sick last week, and he had some thoughts he wanted to squeeze in on Wrath of Khan. And there's a new interview that we came across from the director that we thought was really good. We might play it on there, let y'all listen to it and just see what you think, and then give our thoughts on it as well. So it's gonna be good. Like I said, thank you to our Patreon supporters with the Shin Godzilla watching. So definitely good shout out to Doug Schumann, Beachy, and Shelby Johnson for your support monthly, and really love y'all for helping us on our monthly costs. Those things really go to a long way to helping us out. And we'll enjoy watching a movie with you on Friday if you can. If not, that's not going to be the only time. And then get ready to enjoy some new content coming out to the site in April. Oh, snap. I forgot about
the weekly throwback. I'll start while you scramble. So for me, my weekly throwback recommendation is going to be Earthworm Jim. This is a game that I think it first came out on the Super Nintendo. And it got some ports to other consoles, and it also got a TV show. Generally a very strange. Sure. Yes, it did, and that TV show was good. It's a very weird, abstract game about an earthworm named Jim who gets into like a super suit from space, and basically becomes a superhero because of it. But you play through a bunch of levels. The soundtrack for the game is like, I can't really compare it to anything because I actually use it as a staple to compare to other things. Because it falls into that kind of a structure. Like you have one beginning of a level that like the music starts off with what is that classical piece? Bum, 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 bum. And then it goes into like this little, it like cuts with like a record scratch and goes into like this really like mellow, chill sound effect of like people screaming in hell. It's like ba 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 ah ba 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 ba. The soundtrack's phenomenal. The gameplay is a lot of fun. It's an old school game. If you have an emulator to play some Super Nintendo stuff, which nobody does. We don't emulate games. Nobody has that. But if such a thing were to be on a computer that you just happen to buy at, I don't know, like a garage sale or something, and it happened to have Earthworm Jim on it, highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time, and the game is weird, funny, challenging. Hits all the good stuff. And there's an Earthworm Jim too, so if you like it, you can play the second one.
Lenny Fitness says Flight of the Valkyries. Yeah,
thank you. My brain was like In the Hall of the Mountain King, and I'm like, that's not right. I know that song.
Yeah. I was struggling between two. One that you'll probably actually be able to play is Doom VFR. So if you have PSVR or you do have Steam, I think it might be on Oculus. It might be on an Oculus store. I can't remember, but you can definitely get it on Steam and on the PSVR. And that's a really good VR adaptation of the original, or not the original, but the recent Doom that came out before Doom Eternal. So the kind of reboot series. But recently, there's been a mod that forced to play Doom 3. If you remember Doom 3 on Xbox and was it just Xbox?
Yeah,
it was just Xbox, but it's on Steam now. You can play, but you can play a VR version of that. So there was a mod for it, but now there's an official release, an official VR Doom 3 release coming that I would recommend as well. So you got some ways to play Doom on VR that is really good, and the VFR one's really good. I was thinking about
craving some Doom.
Yeah. I might come back. I think my recommendation for next week, I'm gonna go back and replay Metroid Prime 3 Corruption and see how I remember the controls on that.
The Wii version or the original GameCube?
The Wii version.
Hey,
so
nice.
I'll go.
Oh wait.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think it only came out on the Wii.
Yeah. No, I'm mistaken.
But I had the free pack where they ended up adding the motion controls to Prime and Echoes. So I'll replay a little bit of that this weekend, and that might be my recommendation for next week. just see if I can find a good Wii shooter for folks to try out.
Another good Wii shooter is what is that one called? Red Steel. That one's pretty solid.
Do you mean Red Steel 2? Because I played Red Steel 1, and it was all right. But Red Steel 2, I feel like
Red Steel 2 was a dramatic improvement for sure.
Yeah. It was mainly just the control. Like that's
a fair criticism.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Red Steel's original control scheme, while it almost felt too. It was almost too precise. And I don't know if I can. Does that make sense? It was like
it does.
It was almost like because you could really articulate. Yeah. Because you could really articulate. It was tracking like the real like wrist rotation. I'm like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember that was my favorite thing. I was like, I'm gonna run up in a room and like turn my gun sideways on purpose, and then like miss every shot. And I'm like, I'm gonna just shoot.
House of the Dead release on there. Then there's House of the Dead Overkill.
All right, we gotta save some for next week. We
All right, I'll check those this weekend and let you know. But
all right, do the outro. Yeah. We're throwing away all our good games.
Thank you all for joining us. If you have not already, smash the subscribe button. That helps us out a lot and being seen. So if you're watching us on Twitch, we'd love that. Or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, follow on your favorite platform. We stream there. You're probably watching us on there right now. And until next time, we'll see you. I've been Commander Shipp. That's been Steve Fox.